We are Stanwick Primary Academy. We have got 197 children on roll and around 30 members of staff. We have got a really lovely area of the school, a really nice big field for us to be able to go and utilise, a really lovely community. So one of the things that we're trying to achieve within our school is making sure that our children are fully engaged within their learning. So we are not just teaching the children, having really well behaved children and engaging in their learning, which we do have. One of the things that we wanted to do was try and avoid our children ever being in a situation where they become passive learners. And by using the outdoors and considering the way in which we teach and using a whole range of opportunities and experiences within lessons that go much wider than their classroom walls, was going to help us to achieve that.
Any space, as long as you are outside, that becomes a valuable learning tool. So don't be closed off because you don't feel that you've got the right environment. So yes, some schools will look at, they've got a massive field, they've got an extensive playground. You don't necessarily need that in the same way you don't need a big expensive shed. You know, I've learned the value of a piece of chalk and that imagination and having that creativity. So it doesn't have to be endless outlay.
I think the support that we've been given so far has been fantastic. So the work that Kirsty has started to do has enthused herself in the things that she wants to bring back, the ideas, the opportunity for collaboration and discussion with other like-minded people who are starting on the same path or at different points of the same path as us.
I like the fact there's almost that little community, that group that I can have, that I can contact, and they're going through the same process so that I can lean on them. How are you going along? And it keeps it ticking over. So I can really start to see how it can be developed across the whole school, in particularly Key Stage 2. When I've done the staff meetings and the training sessions, they've been keen to be involved, and I've tried to practice what I preach as well.
As an ECT, I've actually found outdoor learning a bit of breath of fresh air, because I've come from a school that didn't really take on board outdoor learning, and what I've found actually is seeing the difference in how the children learn and what they remember is really a benefit to them.
I've liked the online training sessions because, again, I think it just refreshes, brings something else then new, but also reminds me, okay, then what's the next step?
It's been really useful taking part in the training online, and I found that I've been able to use some of we've looked at 5 types of inquiry and looking at things outside like a leaf and flower and how we can link that.
The subject leadership training has brought lots and lots of different ideas. The platform that shared opportunities, I think, has helped us to push staff kind of over that edge of worry of coming up with ideas and kind of starting from scratch. What it's done for us is allowed them a little bit of a scaffold, a little bit of a support, and a bit of knowledge that they're going in the right direction with the ideas that they have.
The impact of the maths lead and the science lead and the literacy lead, I've seen a real notice of that, because then I'm not just that lone voice. So the maths lead is actually feeding back and stuff tonight, and now she's then talking about, oh, actually I've now seen I don't have to do the whole session, it might just be a starter and I can just use chalk, and she's seeing how that works for her year 6 class. And actually we've got number day coming up, and the activities and experiences that she is now sharing, she has then decided they'll all be of an outdoor nature, which is great because it's that she's had that training and now she wants to develop that and she wants to use it. Let's use it then straight away. So I think it'll be domino effect. It's more than just me. I want to be the catalyst. I want to be the person that's like bringing this, but then I think in order for it to be sustainable, it needs to grow and nurture in everybody.
It's allowed them to be a little bit more free with what they do. So trying to move away from having to plan a lesson that then has copious amounts of resourcing and marking, thinking that they have to have it resourced in a book.
And you actually don't realise until you do outdoor learning, you can hit so many objectives in one hit. And even things like your marking and your planning, they are reduced, and the children's learning is, if anything, accelerated.
And actually it's sometimes nice to get away from being stuck behind a desk or standing at the front like teaching. It gives the children opportunity to be out there and doing something different. And if you've incorporated that into your planning, it just becomes part of the lesson.
The impact that outdoor learning has had for our children so far is being providing our school with a real buzz all the time. So we constantly will try and produce lessons and activities and experiences for the children that are going to motivate them and inspire them. And I feel like what this has done is it has added that extra layer for us to allow our children to just really immerse themselves. We think, is this better indoors, outdoors? Let's go and achieve.
We were looking at coastal erosions with geography. We decided we were going to go outdoors and we're going to make our own coastal erosion. Conversation we got just from that half an hour outside, I think it's really had a big impact on the children.
Last time we went outside, we made like a cliff when the water was going up the stand, and we used sticks to try and stop it, and rocks, and sometimes some ice that melted.
But they don't realise they're learning, and I think when you see that the children like a light bulb moment and they're having fun while doing it, it's so much more rewarding.
Because they're actually outside in that moment, you know, they're saying, oh, I can see the fascinating fog, or I can see. So actually it gives them visuals or physical things that they can work with to take back into their writing.
Outdoor learning is them taking not just what they're learning in theory, but being able to take that outdoors and learning everything kind of in practice.
I think outdoor learning is going to solve some of those issues for some of the children that really do struggle with being confined to a desk to do writing. We've got a lot of creative children, and sometimes they struggle with that, like having to concentrate and focus for really long periods of time. So outdoor learning really gets them, or gives them, the opportunity to be able to get out and work with their senses or be creative and make things. Like the other day we took the children out to build digestive systems with leaves and twigs, and for children that would struggle to put that into words, it just gives them another opportunity to be able to do that.
When you go into a classroom, you can sometimes see some children not engaged, but outdoors I haven't found that yet, and I think that they can really talk about what they have learned, and it is sticking.
It's helping the knowledge to stick, so their conversations about what they're learning about and their topics has been a lot better, and they've been a lot more excited to share it because the information is sticking, the knowledge is sticking for these children. All of us are slowly changing that mindset that there are a lot more other ways to share and learn.
And I feel that we're at the point at the moment where it's just about opening practitioners' minds just a little bit more, so it's not just that session. In a situation where maybe the children are struggling to grasp a concept, that teacher's then thinking, actually, I tell you what, let's take that and stuff then outdoors. What else can I do? Because I think teachers are very good at doing that, problem solving, and therefore outdoor learning becomes just part of our curriculum.
The feedback that we have gained so far has been really positive. The children have loved going home and sharing what they've been doing in outdoor learning. We use our Twitter feed quite a lot to share with the parents what we do with years 1 upwards. For us, the parents are really seeing their children engaging and enjoying what they're learning, and we feel like that's one of the biggest benefits that we're having.
In a classroom, it's very easy to be led by everything that's around you and doing things that have no real world implications. When you're outdoors, you have no choice but to look at real world implications and counting leaves or finding green leaves and red leaves. How many green leaves, how many red leaves have you got?
Obviously it helps with their mental health as well and well-being. A lot of children don't learn. Sometimes sitting at a desk and being told, that structure is very difficult for a lot of children. I know, putting it to my little girl, she enjoys being outdoors.
Extremely important for us to make sure that we have a whole school approach, because within our vision we have stated that we would like our children to become a whole child and develop themselves academically, socially, emotionally. And through doing that, we will be using outdoor learning to support the learning experiences that they're provided with. We have got to all be working together towards one goal, towards one aim, and ultimately, outdoor learning is playing into a bigger part of the education that we want our children to have.
It really helps when we do it because we're pretty much just outside learning, getting some fresh air.
And just the children's sheer enjoyment of learning in that environment is something that every school should be trying to achieve.
We had to measure if there was a stick that was heavy, because we would know it was heavy, because it would stretch.
I think the thing with outdoor learning is we have really embraced it at Stanwick. The staff have been really good at listening, taking it on board and wanting to try new things. And I think for our progress and the position that we are in terms of moving outdoor learning forward within our school is really exciting and can only bring us much more positive experiences and opportunities for our children, and is really supporting us to achieve what we want to achieve for the education that we allow our children to leave Stanwick Primary with at the end of year 6.
The vision now is embedding it through school, is really working on engagement and well-being, because that links to our school development plan as well. If I wasn't in school, a stranger could walk into school and you could still see the signs, the evidence, the elements that this school does outdoor learning, and we embrace it and we nurture it and we value it. That golden thread going through from displays to newsletters to teachers' attitudes to their approach to their learning, and then ultimately the children really seeing, I'm learning outside and this is what I am then learning. We've started to introduce walking meetings, and the head's quite keen on stuff of doing that. I must admit at the moment I'm taking the lead on that, but straight away then going outside, no matter what it is that you need to have that conversation about, just being outside changes the dynamics and brings that sense of calmness to then everybody, and ultimately becomes productive then. And things such as when we're interviewing, so we've actually interviewed and stuff today, there was an outdoor learning question within that interview, because we want to be inviting and embracing practitioners into our school community that adhere to that vision and want to be part of that vision as well. Head teachers want to see children that are making progress and making academic progress. I firmly believe that anyone is not going to make progress and not be successful, and I'm not just talking about academic, I'm talking about them as a person, unless they're happy, unless they've got high levels of well-being. We all know if our shower's broken, we've got a puncture in our car, and then we arrive at school, we're not always going to be in that best space. And therefore, being outside and taking that learning and stuff then outside not only enhances the ability for the children to remember, what we call then sticky learning. So yes, it's an investment in time, but then you're not having to repeat that lesson 6 times because you're almost doing it once and doing it well. So it really sticks with the children, and therefore they remember it. It becomes memorable, and that is only going to feed progress in the end. So it's about that investment in something which will give them that long-term gain.
A child with specialist needs, with ADHD, severe autism, and take them to that outdoor learning, and they can learn so much from it that they couldn't get on with in a standard school. They become practical and focused, and it helps to calm them and reduces the sensory overloads. I think it's just really beneficial to many children.
I completely recommend outdoor learning for other schools and to look at developing it. We have a whole host of space here. But I don't feel that it only lends to using outdoor learning if you've only got large spaces. We have that luxury, but I think the impact that it can have on the children, their social emotional development, their overall well-being and their academic knowledge is something that can be achieved in any outdoor space. Come and see it in action, see the impact that it's having on our children, see the enjoyment of what they're doing. Have a conversation with the children and ask what they're doing, ask the love of it and the outcomes and the progress that these children are making by engaging in these experiences. And then I don't think you could walk away with an argument as to why it couldn't benefit the children within any other school.